We've got some huge One Piece live action news, including our first official look at Chopper, a surprising first look at Alabasta, an arc that we're not even supposed to be doing this season, a series of strange Netflix leaks, and an insane amount of details revealed in the Season 2 set tour video. The first thing I should say is that we have an official announcement for the characters playing Crocodile and Robin. Interestingly, I love that Robin is identified as Miss All Sunday, very purposely keeping the name Robin under wraps there. And look, I don't know how to find this information out, but I would be incredibly keen to know what the division of live action watches is between existing One Piece fans and live action only fans. Live action only fans sounds like a very different request. It might just be the bubble I live in, but I do find it funny how far they're going to, I guess, avoid spoilers, because Robin joining the crew was a pretty big twist, although only if you read the manga, because even the anime spoiled it by putting Robin with the crew in the opening long before Alabasta concluded. And that's how I found out that she was joining the crew. And you know what? Comment below if you weren't spoiled about Robin joining the crew, because that is an experience I cannot empathize with. None of this was a surprise though. These two actors have been speculated for months and months and months now, and in fact the official Netflix website updated the cast list before the announcement, which instantly spread across the internet and killed any semblance of surprise for the actual announcement. Dealing with the One Piece fan base in particular must be a nightmare for Netflix marketing. One Piece fans are actively trained to be spotting things in the background, Easter eggs, connections, theories, etc. It's probably the most deeply explored fictional world I've ever known, so of course that transfers over to the live action project as well. There are some very scarily dedicated people who regularly drive past the production studio in South Africa to take pictures, and also people who, I'm going to use the word relentlessly, stalk actors and production staff on Instagram and stuff to find out the common trends, you know, who's following who. It's genuinely kind of scary stuff, but the result is that there is no hope of trying to keep a secret from this fan base. What I really loved about the announcement though is that it was hosted by Crocodile's actor, and there were a ton of fun Crocodile references. He came out in a Squid Game outfit as Contestant Zero, as in Mr. Zero. He's also got some very crocodile rings happening there. And he was also wearing the lily from Crocodile's first manga appearance, where he dehydrates a lily in a glass, a symbol that has only become wildly more relevant as we learn of the ancient Alabasta monarch Nefertari Lily, as well as Imu's connections to Lily and his garden of lilies at Marijois. So I did really enjoy the references there. The announcement, not a surprise, but the way they did it, really good. And he seems like he'll be a very decent crocodile. The one thing this announcement made very clear is that he is such a huge dude, so I am hoping that he towers over Luffy and really feels intimidating in a way that I don't think Arlong nailed. But we also got our first glimpse of Chopper, and it does look like we are going full CG. There was a lot of speculation about puppets, animatronics, and even putting a child in reindeer makeup, and you know, there's still options to do that at points, I guess, but I think that CG is the only way to do Chopper justice. He looks really good in this behind shot, so good. He definitely doesn't look, you know, real, but he looks like he fits in with this wacky One Piece world, although everything really does rest on the face, which unfortunately I don't think we'll be seeing anytime soon. I have faith that Chopper is going to look great though, because apart from some of Luffy's stretching, the effects of Season 1 were pretty damn good. But my main concern is how much Chopper is actually going to get used due to how expensive and time intensive it is to bring him to life. Sort of like in Season 1, how Luffy almost never actually stretched because again, it was so expensive and time intensive to make it happen. So they really had to pick and choose their moments of Luffy stretching. But you don't really get that choice with Chopper. With Luffy, you can just decide that he's not going to stretch in the scene and you still have Iñaki to bring him to life. However, with Chopper, you can't just comfortably coast on an actor. So it'll be really interesting to add up how much screen time Chopper actually has in the live action in proportion to Drum Island in the anime and the manga. But beyond Drum, I actually think we might be in for a post-time skip Chopper experience, if you know what I mean, where he kind of exists in the background. It doesn't get a whole lot of focus because it's really expensive to do that. And I do think they're going to need to be pretty reserved about Chopper's appearances, just because he's not the only thing they need to spend money on. They also need to spend money on everything else in the One Piece world. Like even the simplest things that you can do in the manga, like putting Chopper in the corner in a group shot, is difficult for live action because that is time and money. It is expensive. But we also had a bit of a weird thing happen during this announcement period, which is that there was a table read video for what looks like the first episode or two, and then that video was taken down. Which is odd because this is the video that reveals Chopper at the end. And it's currently speculated by the scarily accurate internet detectives that this is because there were actors shown in that video that haven't been officially announced. And that this video included a lot of stuff that the public wasn't meant to see yet. One of which is more than likely the actor playing Bartolomeo. This has been leaked for quite some time, but Bartolomeo has been cast, which I'm very keen for because Bartolomeo was present at Logtown, and I think it would be amazing to watch him become obsessed with Luffy in real time. This is the thing that the live action excels at, taking stuff that we know from the future and integrating it with the classic elements to create a new spin on things. And Bartolomeo's actor was present in this table read video with a microphone in front of his face, indicating that he has actual lines. That is a surprise to me. When his casting was announced, what I was expecting was a cameo. Someone plonked into the background or mid-ground of a shot during Luffy's execution scene. And since we're realistically probably not getting to Dressrosa, we wouldn't really need to worry about any continuity down the line if he had to be recast or something. But it looks like we're getting an actual character here. From assorted audition leak tapes, it's now speculated that Bartolomeo has some sort of thief contest with Nami and is tricked into stealing stuff from Marines. So it looks like they've properly cast Bartolomeo, which is wild. They're either playing the really long game here or introducing a fan favorite much earlier, and maybe he'll even have his own side plot following and obsessing over Luffy, because that would probably be a solid way to reuse all of the sets like they did for the Kobe subplot in season 1. The Straw Hats leave, Kobe arrives, etc. I do think it's a cool idea, but what I hope is that Bartolomeo's inclusion doesn't take away from the beats we need to hit. There were so many cool ideas in season 1, like using Syrup Village as an opportunity to explore that dynamic between Nami and Kaya, which realistically would have been tense. Nami's whole philosophy at that point in the series is that money equals freedom, and Nami had to struggle for every cent of freedom she could acquire. Whereas Kaya, she has all of the money in the world and she still couldn't be less free. Also stuff like Garp having a conversation with Zeph on Baratier. Watching those two legends interact was a genuine pleasure, but those moments came at a cost, because it took time away from the actual stuff we were meant to be doing, like fleshing out Usopp in the case of Syrup Village, and the valuable time siphoned away from the Arlong arc in general. I'm going to say that I'm cautiously optimistic. Logtown, it's a fairly light arc in terms of character work, so maybe it's one of the few arcs that could benefit from adding some stuff in. But with everything that's just been revealed, I think we have good reason to believe again that season 3 is being shot back to back with season 2. This is actually something that the actor who played Patty in season 1 stated a while back, that they were shooting back to back seasons. However, he later retracted that claim and said that he didn't know anything, but it's kind of hard to buy that at the moment. He was probably contacted by production and told to retract that statement because it hadn't been announced yet, but they're not exactly trying, too hard to keep things secret either. They did their absolute best to blur out any spoilers in the set tour video, but there is a moment where we see Robin's alabaster outfit. It's sitting right there in all of its glory, and there's no real reason to have this right now unless the Alabaster Saga is in production. I shouldn't say no real reason, they might just have Robin wear it earlier, but it's one of the many things that are continuing to add up. Like even announcing who's playing Crocodile when realistically he doesn't take command until season 3. That or Crocodile is now going to play a much larger role in season 2. That is definitely possible, considering that they don't have an amazing pool of villains to choose from to be the major antagonist of season 2. But for some more locations, we got to explore Ippon Matsu's weapon shop in Logtown, which I really like. It looks like a fine establishment packed full of fun stuff, and for a second I thought I saw Yubashiri in the case above the counter, but upon closer inspection it does look like a very different sword. I also couldn't find the Sandaiki Tetsu in the bargain bin. I think it would have been an absolute power move to toss it in there, but all in all, it looks great. I'm not sure if I can say the same for the Twin Cape Lighthouse. I'm not a huge fan of this interior because it doesn't really scream One Piece to me. Everything just seems a bit bland, monotone, and honestly a bit miserable. I really don't know why they chose this of all locations to show off. Maybe it's one of the only sets that's complete and currently ready for filming, but it is extremely monotone apart from the funky structure in the middle. And to be completely fair, this might not be set lighting conditions. The actual show could make it look a lot more lively. It does make realistic sense as a rundown lighthouse. That's the sort of thing you would expect walking into a building like that, and that is kind of the issue. One Piece live action has been pretty great with coming up with unique interiors so far, like Kaya's mansion, Baratier, and even Arlong's map room, which all feel like stepping into unexpected and slightly whimsical adventures that capture the essence of the anime and the manga. The lighthouse, to me, it doesn't really nail that. And I won't go on about this for too long, I think. But I'm also not a huge fan that we're actively seeking out more indoor areas. Reverse Mountain to me wasn't an arc that needed a house tour, and I can't help but feel like the only reason we're doing this is because of budget rather than creative ambition. It's infinitely cheaper to build a studio set than to film outdoors or faux outdoors in the case of being inside Laboon, and we saw a lot of this happening in season 1. The need to condense One Piece to indoor areas as much as possible for the sake of time and budget. And every time we squirrel away our characters into another small room, it makes the One Piece world feel smaller to me because we lose that scale of adventure. But going back to positive things, there's a lot of blink and you'll miss some details in this video. One is that we see the wig of Mr. 7 despite the fact that we saw him very die in season 1. So we could be seeing him in a flashback in season 2, or they could just be keeping this wig in stasis in case a need arises in the future. There's also a very curious rainbow wig in the background, which is suspected to belong to Spiel, a character you probably won't recognize even if you've seen and read all of One Piece, because he's the main antagonist of Romance Dawn version 2, which was the final prototype before One Piece was properly put into production. And actually, they did animate it as episode 907 of the anime, so I guess you might have seen Spiel if you watch all of the filler and extra stuff. But the reason why it's speculated that this is Spiel is because the One Piece podcast did an interview with the hair and makeup designer of One Piece live action, and she revealed that Spiel was actually a cut character from season 1. She went to so much effort to make this glorious rainbow wig and he got cut, so they might be looking to work him into season 2. Sort of like what they did with Crescent Moon Galley in season 1, who was also a Romance Dawn villain. There's also what I would describe as a suspiciously Brook looking wig on this shelf, and if so, this would make a lot of sense, because Brook is, I'd say, pretty guaranteed to be in season 2, because we've already seen photos of the fully built Rumbar pirate ship, which I imagine is for Laboon's flashback, and it would be criminal not to include Brook in some way. Maybe not in an actual acting and dialogue role, but to have a tall man in an afro somewhere in a shot. We'll do this properly next year when the release date gets closer, but Brook appearance is definitely going on the live action bingo card. Although one of my absolute favorite things about this whole video is that we see a Doskoi Panda outlet in Logtown. In case you don't know, Doskoi Panda is a very high-end fashion brand in the One Piece world, which you see from time to time, usually on wealthier individuals, such as Helmeppo in the Diary of Kobe Meppo cover story. Helmeppo is a spoilt rich brat, so of course he sleeps in Doskoi Panda apparel. And somewhat intriguingly, we also see a map of Hand Island of all places, a filler location that was ruled over by Commodore Billick, who to his credit is one of the more aesthetically memorable filler villains. Although the main reason why I remember him is because he had this obsession with Admiral Kizaru, to the point where there is this massive portrait of Kizaru up in his office, and it's just like, mate, who worships Kizaru? What the crap are you doing? It's such a big portrait as well. We also cited a building with the name Manmayer on it, and this is an incredibly recent reference because it's a name that we only heard during the God Valley segment of Kuma's flashback. The Manmayer family are apparently one of the 20 founding families of the world government, so it's a cool little thing that they've worked in here, given how unlikely it is that we'll get far enough to even introduce the world nobles. But look, I'm personally kind of starting to feel the live action buzz again. I think that One Piece live action does very, very well with these marketing videos. They know what fans are looking for and they give it to us, you know, they feed the pigs their slop. We are the pigs and we love it. It's a great lifestyle. I do still have the same concerns about the 8-episode model and, you know, all of the things I had to say about season 1 in general. But really, there is no bad news from this announcement. It's all looking very fun at the moment, and I'm really eager to see where season 2 goes from here. And feel free to let me know what you think in the comments.